Update. Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my daughter? Me and my daughter used to be best friends. We did everything together. She truly was the light of my life. But things started to change in her teens. Moodiness, lashing out, lies, etc. I just thought it had to do with her age, that she would grow out of it. I really tried everything. Family therapy, long talks about how much I loved her. But none of it worked. She would either roll her eyes back or spit more of her venom. My husband works really long hours and isn't of much help, to be honest. My husband is white and I'm black, so my daughter is mixed. But she looks white. She really takes after her father. This is relevant. I really don't know what I did wrong, but her dislike for me began to become pure hatred. She would question all the time how someone like me could be her mother when she was white and I was black. At some point, she even demanded a DNA test. I said sure, if she paid for it. She was not pleased with the results. She is 17 now and has begun dating this white boy, and she is head over heels for him. She refused to let me meet him and told me that having a jobless N-word for a mother truly shamed her. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't think I have ever experienced such pain. Long story short, I couldn't take her antics anymore and decided to go back to my family in Cuba. My daughter couldn't be bothered to even say goodbye to me. A few days ago, I received a message from my daughter asking for forgiveness. Lots of how she can't fit, is in a really dark place, and lots of excuses. It may sound cold, but I don't want to see her face. I don't care about her apologies. I thought I had made a right decision, but my husband thinks I should really hear her out and forgive her. My family has been harassing me to go back to Miami and make peace with her, especially mother, and friends have been reaching out and have even called me a crappy mom for not forgiving her, and how I must have done something for her to behave like she did. My anxiety has been over the roof and I'm back on my pills now. Is this really my fault? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update 3 years later. Not the a-hole. As a mixed person, I would never say that to my black parent, and would never say that to anyone, period. She's your daughter, so I wouldn't kick her out of your life forever. Not that you were implying that, but remember this and don't forgive her right away. I would suggest therapy or time away for yourself. Also, you're not a horrible mom. Yeah, if she's 17 just now, then I'd say she may grow into a totally different person than a kid who treated Opie like this. I'm also mixed and cannot imagine saying this to a parent. A lot of young teens say and do horrific stuff, feel bad and learn from it, and grow into decent adults. Definitely needs to be therapy, and get into why she was acting like this, healing wounds, discussing seemingly enabling dad, etc. But nobody will fault you if it takes a while before you even want that, Opie. I have to wonder who is filling the daughter's head with this crap. Does this come from her school, social media, etc.? It may be better if the daughter flew down to see the Opie, paid for by both parents. That way, she can meet her mom's side of the family and see what life is like for them to get to know the Cuban side a bit better. Opie isn't required to uproot her life just because the daughter has had a sudden change of heart. Daughter has to earn it. Absolutely not the a-hole. I hate to say it, but your daughter has been emotionally mistreating you, and your husband seems to be complicit in this. Not the a-hole. If any of us said anything even half that hateful to my mother, Dad would have been all over us. That would not be accepted and it would be made clear what our error was. Where was her husband in this? Now for the update. I know it's been 3 years, but several people still ask me about it because they saw my post on TikTok or other media. So, I wanted to make this post to thank everybody who gave me such kind and sensible advice 3 years ago. Even though I didn't reply, I read most of the replies, good or bad. And I'm thankful for all of you who encouraged me to give my daughter a second chance. I'll summarize it. I went back to Miami and she gave me a heartfelt apology and explained all the dark things her boyfriend was getting her into. We got into therapy once again. She left her horrible relationship, and these past 3 years our relationship has become better than ever. It was not easy, but definitely worth it. I'm glad I didn't give up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling mom she is a terrible mother and giving her a 3-day notice to move out? I, 23 female, live with my fiancé, 23 male, and my siblings, 20 male, 17 female, and 15 female. I have been taking care of my siblings since I was 8 years old, simply because we have crappy parents. Our mom is an abusive narcissist and our dad is a passive-aggressive drunk. I've been responsible for the lives of 3 children since I was a child, but I love my siblings nonetheless. About 2 weeks ago, my brother came to me and begged me to let my mom come and stay with us for a few weeks because she had recently become homeless. I was reluctant, but reality is my brother pays bills here as well. And even though I don't have any love for either of my parents, I would never strip away the love my siblings have for them. As you can imagine, living with a horrible narcissist always ends bad. Despite making things unbearable since the moment she came, last night was the last straw for me. My fiancé or I make dinner every single night, and we all sit down and have dinner together. I made dinner last night and told my mom that it was ready. She got up and got in my face about how she doesn't feel loved here, and how I'm a crappy child, and saying things to my younger siblings that I won't even repeat. There was a lot of back and forth, but ultimately I got back in her face and told her she is a crappy mother. I told her how I've raised her kids for her, reminded her how 13-year-old me and my 11-year-old brother would have to steal food from the store to feed our sisters because she chose a man over us and abandoned us. Told her how I sacrificed my life because her and my dad were trash parents. It ultimately ended with a lot of back and forth and me telling her she had 3 days to get out. Now I'm morally struggling, mostly because of some of the things I said to her. I wasn't trying to be an a-hole, but just years of everything broke me down. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My sisters feel the same as me when it comes to our parents, as in no love for them. However, my brother have always had a soft spot for our mom, which of course I don't fault him for. He's just a boy who wants his mother's love. Not the a-hole. She needs to go before she does any more damage to your siblings. And you. He wants a relationship with his mother? It has to be outside your home. Yep, this. I get your brother still seeks his mom's attention, but don't sacrifice your other siblings for his blind love/loyalty. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Setting boundaries and enforcing consequences, especially with parents like yours, is paramount. You need to protect your peace and your family's well-being. Your cup can't spill over for others if it's not filled up for yourself. Not only that, this gal needs to be in a lawyer's office yesterday. Her mom cannot be allowed to be in a position to claim custody and ruin her siblings' mental health further and worse, especially if they're away from her sight. You are absolutely not the a-hole. What you are doing for your siblings is amazing. Your siblings are extremely lucky to have a stronger older sibling, as thoughtful and as caring as you are. She got up and got in my face about how she doesn't feel loved here and how I'm a crappy child. Ridiculous comment. Maybe if you didn't have to be a parent to your siblings, you might have time and energy to show more love to others. Sorry to your mom, but you and your siblings come first. OP, you are amazing doing what you're doing at such a young age. The audacity of the mom to call her child who is taking care of all of her other children a crappy child? I hope that she has no custody of the other children. Next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my cousin starve? A lot of emotions are overwhelming me right now, so I'll try to keep it simple and to the point. My male 27, cousin female 29, let's call her Sue, is an artist. By that, I mean she has a bachelor in fine arts. Ever since high school, her dream has been to become a world-renowned artist, akin to Picasso, Dali, and whatnot. But honestly, she doesn't have what it takes to be on that level. Thing is, she refuses to work in an industry where her skills would be needed. The most work she's ever done is as a cashier in retail, forever hoping she's gonna hit it big with one of her artworks. Now, I always felt bad for Sue. Her mother made a lot of poor financial decisions and her piece of trash father walked out. My parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles helped them out financially from time to time, but their attitude towards my aunt was always, she did this to herself. Our family members were extremely angry that Sue chose to pursue fine arts. They all grew up during communism and see this sort of degree was a waste of time. So, they essentially stopped giving them any form of financial aid. I never stopped. About 5 years ago, my friends and I got really interested in D&D. Essentially, I talked to Sue and told her I'd give her a monthly sum of money and, in exchange, she'd draw stuff for my D&D campaigns. She was reluctant at first, saying her art is not for this sort of simple things, but I think her mother convinced her to take the deal. Initially, things were working out. I'd pay her every month and she'd send the drawings on time. But as time went on, she began being more and more off deadline. I'd always pay her on time, but she'd be weeks then months late. Last commission was for 10 artworks for a new campaign and she's essentially ghosted me for 4 months about it, while I've still been paying her. I had to delay the start 4 times, and it really ticked me off. Because at this point, it's about me letting down my friends. So I canceled the January payment. She couldn't even be bothered to contact me immediately. It was only 8 days later she angrily calls me asking why she has no money in her bank account. At the time, I was tired and her attitude annoyed me, so I gave it to her straight. I told her how she should be thankful for what I'm doing for her. Instead, she bites the hand that feeds her. How instead of dreaming she'll make it big, she should use her skills to look for a real job. I told her to stop being a leech to her family, and of course that she won't see a dime from me until she finishes those damn drawings. And after that, our deal is off. My aunt called me, crying and begging to send Sue the payment, otherwise she'll have to starve for the month. I don't really have anyone to talk to about this, and I know for a fact my family members would just encourage me to stop helping them. But my wife's attitude towards this problem is along the lines of, we can't afford it, so just help her. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She agreed to create art for payment, like an artist does. If she either feels D&D is beneath her or cannot keep up with her commitments, then that's her problem. Seriously, she did what every famous artist pre-20th century did. Found a patron who'd pay her bread and butter to create art. Then she decides she doesn't want to make art for her patron, so the patron lets her go. You give no service, you get no goods. So completely off topic, but that's my theory on Winchester House Psychic. I think she made every single thing up just because she found somebody to pay her and believe everything she said. Lol. Not the a-hole. If I don't show up / don't do my job at work, I don't get paid. This is life. You've been more than generous. You won't be responsible for her supposed starvation. She is responsible for her own life, choices, and money. They are called starving artists for a reason. All the examples given by the OP are of artists that died poor. They got famous centuries after their deaths. Lol. Not the a-hole. You're not doing your cousin any favors by continuing to pay her for doing nothing. I've been a working artist for many years, and most people like me never achieve what your cousin is dreaming of. Continuing to wait for it while doing nothing to generate regular income is not going to work. Most artists never have that one piece that hits and make them famous, and have to learn to create many streams of revenue in order to keep themselves going. So for me, that means selling original work, but also selling image sheets, teaching classes, ad revenue from 2 of my 4 websites, running a Patreon and a Substack, building my following in social media, having designs available on print-on-demand sites, books on Amazon, whatever I can think of to bring a few bucks in. Your cousin needs some hustle. Withdrawing your support might light a fire under her butt, which is what she's going to need to make it as a working artist. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad's girlfriend why we don't talk, causing them to break up? So, long story short, I, 35 male, am basically been no contact with my dad since I was like 22. He will text every now and then, which I will normally just ignore. He has been seeing his new girlfriend about a year and a half now, and for whatever reason, decides to show up for once to his grandson's first birthday. My sister's kid, not mine, and he brought his girlfriend with him to introduce to the family. Now, I am a smoker, as is she, bad habit I know. So I announced was going to be outside for a few minutes and she followed suit. We got to talking and she asked why myself and my sister don't talk to my dad or ever reach out, and I told her exactly why. When we were kids, my dad would either be at work or golfing and basically left our mother to raise us. He makes good money, about $150K a year at a time, now even more. But I had to delay college until I was 25 because I was considered a dependent. And FAFSA for student loans purposes goes off your parents' income. So I qualified for 0 loans, and my dad offered 0 help. So I got a job after high school and moved out, supported myself until I was 18, and went back to college at 25. I graduated with debt, but it's manageable. And I told her at no point has he ever offered any support to myself nor my sister, emotionally or financially, and that he was a cheapskate that cares more about himself than his own family. Now, to my surprise, she had already started noticing these characteristics of my father, and hearing what I had to say just confirmed everything for her. They broke up a few days later after she called him a deadbeat dad and a cheapskate. My father has been blowing up my phone, calling me an entitled a-hole and saying I was an adult and should have been capable of doing it on my own, which I did, at 18, with no help. He said I had no right to say that, and I told him maybe if he had been a father, I wouldn't have the need to. Am I the a-hole for airing out my grievances to my dad's now ex-girlfriend? Not the a-hole. You told the truth. If he wanted you to tell a different story, he should have lived a different life. This is a good point. Thanks. Not the a-hole. You are not the keeper of your dad's reputation. If he sees nothing wrong with how he treated the two of you, he should have no problem with anyone knowing. Don't feel bad. You saved that woman some time. How was that quote again? If it can be destroyed by the truth, it should be destroyed. Besides, she was already doubting him. No wonder. If one of your children cut you, maybe it's a child's issue. But if both cut you, well, chances are you are the issue. I have to assume that Opie's dad and girlfriend showed up to the birthday party because the girlfriend had started asking questions like, "Why do you never see your children or grandchildren?" So they came, and Dad hoped against hope that his kids would portray a happy, loving family so that his girlfriend would be impressed. Then Opie went and ruined everything by answering a question honestly. Not the a-hole. If I was the girlfriend, I would have dumped your father too. You have a right to be honest about your relationship with your dad. To be honest, you did a girlfriend a favor by being honest. Seems like your father just showed up to the birthday to fake being a good parent and the girlfriend caught on. The girlfriend asked about your relationship with your dad because she noticed that he might not be a good father to his current kids and wanted the truth. You didn't tell her to dump your father, and it was her choice. If your father wasn't willing to help his own son through college or come to visit his grandkids, it is clear that he won't be a good father to their kids if she were to have one with him in the future. In her words, deadbeat. My mom divorced my dad for the same reasons. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend's family that I bought our house, not him? Original post. This whole thing started last month or so. I 27 female and my boyfriend, 26 male, who I will call Matt for privacy's sake, have been together for 6 years now. I'm the main breadwinner, and that has always been a struggle in our relationship. I would say he is pretty insecure about earning less than me. About a year ago, I finally saved up enough to purchase a house in a neighborhood I really liked. Up until then, Matt and I had been living in his apartment, which is cramped and not located in a nice area. Matt has never been too bothered about moving. He likes living in his apartment, and he doesn't mind living elsewhere, as long as he doesn't have to pay more than half. Knowing full well I could easily purchase the whole house, and it was a bargain for the area, I bit the bullet and bought it using all of my savings. When we moved in, Matt loved the place, and I thought everything was fine. Now this is the reason I'm posting on Reddit. 2 days ago, Matt and I were over at his mom's place for dinner. The conversation was going fine, until the topic of our house came up. My mother-in-law mentioned how proud she was of Matt for owning his own house at 26, which confused me, but I obviously didn't want to start anything at the dinner table. Then Matt's sister chimed in about how much of an achievement it was. Matt looked over at me, not saying anything. I'm not usually a petty or confrontational person, but something about the fact that I was the one who not only bought the house, but also paid the majority of the bills, and that Matt didn't even drop $1, really stuck with me. So I decided to say something. I asked Matt who really bought the house in front of everyone. I know it was a dick move, but honestly, I was so riled up by that stage. Matt said nothing, and then I announced to everyone that Matt didn't even contribute to buying the house. Immediately after saying that, I packed up my stuff and went home. I've been texting with Matt's sister, let's call her Kate, who seems to be on my side. Matt is staying with his mom right now, so I have the house all to myself. He hasn't contacted me yet, and I don't know whether it's worth breaking up over a lie like this. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. My experience is if you lie about the little things, you definitely gonna lie about the big and bigger things. Honestly, I don't think this is a little thing at all. This is a huge deception. That's what I was saying. Little thing? I don't think so. Not the a-hole. Matt is lazy and a liar and a freeloader. He had the audacity to tell his family he bought your house, knowing he did not contribute one black penny and doesn't even pay the bulk of the bills, and is sulking and hiding out at his mother's house and giving you the silent treatment because you called him out on his BS. You sound like an intelligent, ambitious, and hardworking woman. You can do a whole lot better than Matt the Mooch Man-child. This gave me a good laugh. Yeah, you should get Kate to come and get her brother's things and drop them off at their mom's. Not the a-hole. The fact that he said nothing actually speaks volumes. He wanted to look like a big man while riding his girlfriend's coattails. As for the breaking up part, I think would depend on what he actually told his family. Did they assume he contributed, or did he tell them he did? If he told them he did, he's stealing your valor. Get him out. Kate told me he said he contributed. Tomorrow I'm contacting him to see where this all goes. See, I knew he was a liar. I thought he lied by omission, but he actually bold-faced lied that he contributed, and has the audacity to give you the silent treatment and hide away at his mom's house. What the heck? Now for the update. Hi Reddit, I'm back. Last night I posted on here and it kind of blew up. So, some stuff happened today. Matt came back to the house. I assumed he was coming back to get his things and leave, but I was unfortunately very wrong. He literally told me he could forgive me and that he was moving back in, as if that was a good thing. I was so shocked, but he was dead serious. So, as any sane person would do, I grabbed all his remaining stuff, gave it to him, and told him to GTFO. He got really mad at that, and I was worried he would get aggressive, so I called Kate, his sister, for backup. She was really helpful and drove Matt home. As soon as I can, I'm changing the locks. As for some of the comments, I pay the mortgage, and I don't even think Matt knows what a mortgage is. I live in Canada, so I'm not sure if I have legal rights to kick him out. He has stayed with me just over a year. I'm trying to seek some legal advice. Thank you all for your help, and I'll try to update if I can. It's very dangerous how easily he lied about this. You deserve so much better than this loser. You need to change all the locks, install a security system and cameras. Totally agree. Protecting yourself is a must. Trust your instincts and stay safe. He could forgive her. What a freaking tool bag. Yeah, don't trust him. You're doing the right thing. Change the locks ASAP. Since you're in Canada and he wasn't on the lease or mortgage, he's likely not a tenant, so you can make him leave, but check with a local lawyer to be safe. Document everything, especially any threats or aggressive behavior. You're protecting your home and peace. Stay firm. That is absolutely not how it works. He was allowed to live there and hence he is a tenant at will. OP needs to formally evict him. Changing the locks is a very bad move, and OP could end up in a world of trouble if her ex wanted to litigate it. Thank you for the advice. Haven't changed locks yet, and not sure about the certain laws in my area. As far as I'm aware, Matt isn't the kind to go through legal drama, but I'm talking to a lawyer about it anyways. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for demanding to go through my brother-in-law and his girlfriend's bags if they are staying with us? Original post. Background. I have a pretty severe dairy allergy. I break out in hives, struggle to breathe, and have to carry 2 EpiPens with me everywhere. If I get any dairy in my system, I'll end up in the ER. My in-laws know this and have been extremely accommodating since my fiancé and I started dating 5 years ago. When we moved in together 2 years ago, we set strict rules for our home because of my allergy. The big one is that no one is allowed to bring anything that contains dairy into our house ever, no matter what. On to the current story. My brother-in-law started dating his girlfriend a year and a half ago. They came to visit us together for the first time a year ago. My fiancé made sure my brother-in-law explained my allergy to his girlfriend and our no dairy rule. 2 days into their stay, she bought dairy products and cooked lunch for herself when we weren't home. I ended up in the ER because of cross-contamination. She apologized and explained she hadn't understood how serious my allergy was. We managed to put the situation behind us since both my fiancé and I currently have, and want to keep, a good relationship with my brother-in-law. The two of them came for a second visit 9 months ago. We had a video call with brother-in-law and his girlfriend before the trip to make sure she understood the severity of my allergy and how serious we are about the no dairy rule. During their second trip, I was taking out the trash and found a candy bar wrappers and an empty milkshake container in the guest room trash, the room she was staying in. Even after she saw how serious my allergy is and how I ended up in the ER, she still brought dairy into our house. I confronted her when they got back. She and brother-in-law had a huge fight. Brother-in-law went through her stuff and threw out everything she had with dairy, and we kicked out his girlfriend. Brother-in-law stayed for the rest of the planned trip. Brother-in-law and his girlfriend worked out the relationship after the trip and are still together. Since their second trip, brother-in-law has come alone since I don't trust his girlfriend in our house. Well, brother-in-law is planning a new trip to visit us, and his girlfriend wants to come too. At first, we just said no. We don't trust her. But since we know this is important to brother-in-law, we came up with what we believe is a good compromise. She can come and stay at our place, but we will look through her bags every time she comes back to our place. And if she doesn't accept that, she can stay at a hotel or stay home. Now I am being called an a-hole for treating her like a criminal, and that checking her bag is an invasion of privacy. So, am I the a-hole for demanding to go through her bag if she is staying at my house? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. She's had 2 strikes, and she still couldn't comprehend what she was doing was wrong. If she continues to push back, just tell her, okay, find somewhere else to stay. I've been down this path with you twice before and ended up in the ER. You have intentionally endangered me twice. I'm not willing to risk a third occurrence. Agree. Also, OP, you say you want to keep on good terms, but she ruined that by disrespecting you and calling you names. I wouldn't have her back in my home. Dude, why are you letting her back in? You trying to die? Of course you're not the a-hole. Seriously, do hotels not exist where OP is? I would never let that woman into my home again. Not the a-hole, but I would just tell her to stay elsewhere. The medical bills aren't worth this mess, and she's proven twice she doesn't listen. Now for the first update. I didn't plan on writing an update, especially not so soon, but a lot has happened in just one day. But first, I want to clear up some misconceptions around their second visit to our home. I did not get sick from brother-in-law's girlfriend having candy bars and a milkshake cup in the trash, or some candy bars in her bag. That wasn't the problem. The issue was that, while knowing our no dairy house rule, having not only seen but also been responsible for me going into anaphylactic shock, and having gotten an in-depth explanation of my allergy and why it is important to us to keep our home dairy free, she still brought my known allergen into my house, my safe space. That is why we fought with her and kicked her out of our house. On to the update. After the first 500 or so comments telling me I am an idiot for even considering letting this woman, who is a danger to my health, back into my house, I realized I was listening way too much to the part of me that just wanted to keep the peace and was downplaying the seriousness of the past incidents in my mind. I kept thinking the first time, she might not have known how serious my allergy was, and it was an accident. And since I didn't get sick the second time she brought dairy into my home, I was exaggerating how bad it was. I know it sounds insane, but after dealing with people who don't take allergies seriously for years, I've gotten used to apologizing and even downplaying my allergy to others. I sat down with my fiancé and discussed the whole situation. He explained how he also doesn't want brother-in-law's girlfriend back in our home, but since I was willing to give her another chance, and it was my health affected by her previous actions, he felt I should make the final decision. He ended up texting brother-in-law to tell him our original no answer stands, that he is welcome to stay with us, but she is not allowed in our house, especially since she hasn't even apologized for breaking our rule again after she sent me to the ER the first time they visited. And I'm his family, and my health and well-being are more important to him than brother-in-law visiting. I wasn't here for this part, but this is what my fiancé told me happened. After he sent that message, brother-in-law called him, and they talked. Turns out brother-in-law's girlfriend had told him that she reached out after their second trip, that we talked, and I forgave her, but wasn't ready to have her back in my house yet. She has asked him to come with him every time he has visited us. Brother-in-law always told her no, and that she would only be allowed to come with when I told him I was ready to have her back in my house. He only asked if she could come since it had been 9 months. And as far as he knew, I had forgiven her. According to my fiancé, brother-in-law was extremely apologetic. I haven't had time to talk directly with him yet, but we've planned a video chat to get everything worked out tomorrow. The reason my brother-in-law didn't ask me directly about the situation and believed his girlfriend is because he is aware of how traumatic an allergic reaction is for me, and that I hate to talk about it afterward since I cannot stand to relive the situation. I swear, why do people always lie about stuff like this? Do they really think it's not going to come out? I mean, it nearly worked. If OP didn't have hundreds of strangers screeching about how awful the situation is, she would even have allowed her back. Spot on. Most people will avoid conflict exactly like OP almost did, even if it costs them dearly. Not some, most. People putting their foot down the first time and not repeating themselves is far and away the minority of responses. I challenge anyone who thinks otherwise to reflect on a time they did something for someone they didn't want to do it for or didn't deserve it. I feel like most will immediately see a correlation. So wait, did she actually talk to you and you forgave her, or did she lie about it? She lied. I hadn't talked to her since throwing her out before she texted me calling me an a-hole for the search if she was to stay in my house, which she absolutely won't be doing now. I read your post yesterday, and that's exactly what I thought happened. It's bizarre that she wants to stay so badly after dissing you like that, and even more bizarre to lie about all of it to stay with you again. By the way, I get it. I have an anaphylactic allergy to mushrooms. I would never let her in the house again either. Now for the last update. So, I have talked to my brother-in-law. We had a long and emotional conversation. I won't post it all here, since some of the stuff we discussed is personal, but I still wanted to update you guys. To start, brother-in-law kept apologizing and saying he should have checked with us, not just believed his girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend. He went on to explain that the reason he wanted to talk with me today, instead of yesterday after the call with my fiancé, was because he felt like he had already failed us by believing his girlfriend. We do not agree with this at all and do not blame him. So, he wanted to show he truly is remorseful for everything that has happened, not just say the words, but show it through actions. After the call with my fiancé, he confronted his ex. At first, she tried to convince him that I was lying and trying to ruin their relationship. That didn't work, so she tried to manipulate him with tears. Brother-in-law explained that now that he has fully seen all of her crazy behavior, he immediately recognized how manipulative she is. A lot more happened, but I won't go into detail since it isn't my story to tell, but my brother-in-law's. The end result is that he broke up with her. He also told us more that we didn't know, including that they had actually broken up after the second time they visited us. He didn't want to be with someone who clearly didn't care about the people in his life and was willing to put someone in danger. He explained they were broken up for about 2 months and only got back together after she sent him a message saying she had reached out to me and that we had worked things out because she felt awful but didn't expect anything from him. Now it's clear that it was just manipulation to get back together with him. Another thing we didn't know is that brother-in-law hasn't been happy where he currently lives for the last year or so, and one of the reasons he often comes to visit us is because he has been considering moving to our area. So, I have a feeling she has been doing all the crazy stuff in hopes that we would blame brother-in-law, and if we were mad or low contact with him, he would move. More manipulation. I wouldn't put it past her. Brother-in-law also sent out a message to their extended family explaining the whole situation in case she reaches out to the family. This way, I won't have to relive the trauma surrounding an allergic reaction to explain what's been going on. I also told brother-in-law and my fiancé about what it's like for me to have a serious allergic reaction for the first time, what it feels like, and the absolute horror I go through. That was definitely the hardest part of the conversation for me. Neither my fiancé nor I blame brother-in-law. The way I see it, he is a good guy who sees the best in people and who has been manipulated by his ex. He is still more than welcome to stay with us. And with everything he told us about how he has been feeling lately, we are excited to have him stay with us and hopefully be able to help him out with everything going on. A lot more was said and talked about, but I think these are the important parts for the update. If I've forgotten anything, I will add an edit here. Also, thank you to everyone who commented and helped me with this situation. Hopefully, this is the last part, and we can go back to focusing on our wedding. You said that your brother-in-law still feels as if he did something wrong, but you don't think he did. Why don't you invite him for an extended visit so that he can look for a job in your area as he plans to? That way he will know for sure that you trust him, and he will also be far away from Psycho Girl. He is invited to stay with us for a while. He is currently looking for a flight sometime in the next 2 weeks.